Yes, these two have got to know each other pretty well this season. Some might say too well. They say Spygate is behind them, but no one is going to forget that the man in the bushes with the binoculars and everything else that happened afterwards. But the concentration has now to be on reaching the Premier League. Derby, under a legend of that division, having fallen at this stage in 2 of the last 3 seasons, and after losing the final in the dying minutes of 2014 season. Leeds, who have completed in the playoffs 4 times, but have never been promoted via this route. But then again, never before did they have Marcelo Bielsa in the dugout. Derby, who are the form team coming into the playoffs, make just the one change from last week's victory over West Bromwich Albion, which was impressive in itself. Kellarosis, the goalkeeper, Bogle, Keogh, Tamori and Malone the back 4, Holmes, Johnson and Mount in midfield, Wilson and Lawrence supporting David Nugent in attack, the wily old campaigner, the veteran of Portsmouth, Preston and many others, the man with 1 England cap and 1 England goal, and the man who hasn't scored since September in fact, even longer than that. But there wouldn't be a better time for him to break his duck. Simon Grayson.
No, it's you can probably tell the atmosphere is building up now. Leeds have had a blow with Pontus Jansson, who's been a big player for them this season, out through injury at centre back. Berardi coming in, different type of player. Leeds a little bit small as a smaller team, so might be vulnerable on the set pieces, but it's going to be, I think Derby will want to get on the front foot. They want to make sure that they try and take the game to Leeds. They're the one that's dominant, get the crowd going, and really have a go at this Leeds team.
Here is the goalkeeper for Leeds. Ayling, Berardi, Cooper and Dallas the back 4. Phillips, Forshaw and Click in midfield. Hernandez and Harrison supporting Kemar Roof in attack. The referee is Craig Pawson. There is just 1 goal and there are 4 teams fighting for it. Earlier on Talksport you heard Aston Villa beat West Brom. On Tuesday and Wednesday we'll have the second legs. Tomorrow you will hear the climax to the Premier League season, but our focus tonight is on the playoffs, and Derby taking on Leeds United live and only on Talksport. Derby in white shirts, black shorts, making a fast start and attacking the goal away to our left. Leeds in all navy blue, shooting from left to right. And we do have the promotion specialist Simon Grayson in our midst tonight, and they usually bring the best and worst out of you, don't they, the playoffs, and they're tight affairs.
Well, without a shadow of doubt, and I think through my experience as being a player and as a manager in them 9 times, you just got to make sure that you're still in the second leg. Don't do anything stupid and try and do things that you've not done all season to get you to this stage, but make sure you're in that second leg on Tuesday or Wednesday, whether you're Aston Villa, West Brom, Derby County or Leeds United.
Ayling has the ball on the halfway line, coming down the right hand side. He's held up by Scott Malone, who tries to progress down the touchline. Free kick is given by Craig Pawson in front of Frank Lampard, who's decked out in a very nice, smart, black tailored suit. Marcelo Bielsa, who's not sitting on the bucket, is standing up inside the technical area in a black tracksuit with grey trainers on, and he's just crouching down low right by the touchline as the ball's played forward by Phillips up towards this right hand side. It's picked up in the wing position and crossed towards the back post. It was a decent looking cross by Wilson. It is half cleared and then comes up into the centre of the midfield, where eventually it's picked up by Holmes, and Holmes believes that he was fouled there rather unnecessarily, and Derby have a free kick.
I think this is where you've got an experienced referee in Craig Pawson, who's Premier League referee. He's got to make sure that he doesn't just book somebody early on for the sake of it, because you've got to imagine that there's going to be some tackles flying in, but at least book people for the right reason.
Tamori sends the ball forward, picked up by Nugent, who's scampering away with that very tight stride that he has. Out to the left, Wilson's cross into the centre. It's headed away, comes back out to the edge of the penalty area, nudged down towards the right hand side. Harry Wilson chasing, it doesn't reach him. It goes out to the left and it's picked up by Stuart Dallas, the Northern Irish left fullback. Into midfield it comes. Adam Forshaw, who is a massive fan of Marcelo Bielsa, a lot of the players are, gets pushed in the back. The ball goes up the field, and then there is another collision, which means that Derby get a free kick, and Mason Mount goes very quickly across to try and take it. 2.5 minutes played in a very noisy Pride Park, and it is Derby County 0, Leeds United 0.
I think when you look at Derby's setup, they'll have Bradley Johnson just in front of the back four, and then you've got some real exciting, energetic players: Dwayne Holmes, Mason Mount, Tom Lawrence, and then Harry Wilson on the right-hand side from loan from Liverpool. And they'll be looking to support David Nugent, who's going to work tirelessly up front, but make sure they give themselves a platform to play on.
Mount to take the free kick just right of the centre circle, arcs it towards Tamori, whose header is a glancing one rather than a fierce one. Bradley Johnson goes over to tackle Luke Ayling. Ayling allows the ball to run out of play after that collision, and it goes for a throw down by the corner flag. Derby finished 9 points behind Leeds in the table, but enter the post-season with 4 wins in 8 in all competitions. Here is Ayling again, hoiking the ball forward up towards Kemar Roof. It's headed down and away by Richard Keogh and then collected by Tamori. Infield to Johnson, then back out to Malone, who clips it forward for Nugent to try and flick on. Mount was trying to get on the end of that. Cooper came across, managed to get a header in, and it bounces to Pablo Hernandez. Hernandez, who's a very experienced figure, 34 years of age, sends it back to Ayling. Ayling draws the foul. It's a little bit cheap, that.
Yeah, especially when Derby fans complaining there, because they felt just previously one of the Derby players got a similar sort of knock and never got the free kick. But there's not been too much action so far. A bit of helter-skelter, trying to get a foothold in the game.
Isn't it?
Yeah, well, you'd expect it. You want Derby to be on the front foot. Leeds trying to close them down, try and get into their routine of the passing motions that they've got throughout the season. And it's going to be one of them that once it settles down, then the key players will come into the game.
Jack Harrison trying to close down Kellerus, who's clipped the ball out towards the right-hand side. Kellerus has started 19 of the last 22 games. He was on the bench for most of the start of the season. Scott Carson deemed to be not as good with his feet, but Rose's kicking let him down there. He sent it straight out of play, and he's invited Leeds to come on the attack, shooting from left to right into Click and then back out towards the far side. Dallas has given the ball away cheaply, and Richard Keogh just stutters, stumbles, and then plays the ball out towards the right. And Harry Wilson, who takes on Dallas, beats him, gets over the halfway line. He's pulled to the floor. The referee says there was no foul, and Leeds continue. The Derby fans aren't happy about that. Harry Wilson certainly isn't, and he's bellowing at the assistants over on the far side because he believed that Stuart Dallas manhandled him.
Well, again, it looks from our viewpoint here that it should have been a Derby free kick. That's two in the last couple of minutes, and Leeds got a similar free kick for them. So interesting start from Craig Pawson, and Derby supporters letting him know that they're not overly impressed so far.
It was Eddie Smart who was the official over on the far side, who did not give the decision. It may be Ian Hussin. The ball is with Cooper, who's played the ball out towards the near side. He's misplaced his pass now, and it's gone straight out of play. And Scott Malone, with those shaved sides of the head and a thick mop on top, comes across towards the near touchline to try and pick it up and get things started again. It is 0-0, 5.5 minutes played on Talksport. Derby coming forward now with Nugent on the edge of his own penalty area. Just curls the ball out towards the right. Bogle takes over, cuts infield, tries to go past Harrison, then punches it forward towards Tom Lawrence. Lawrence's effort doesn't really catch hold of that at all well, and curls it well wide of the goal away to our left-hand side.
I think what you find with Tom Lawrence, he'll do that a lot, plays on the left-hand side, but comes really narrow centrally, onto his strong right foot. Early part of the season against Leeds, he smashed one into the top corner from about 20-odd yards, and Leeds have got to be aware that when he gets it, they need to close him down very quickly.
It's the only goal that Derby managed against Leeds United in the regular season. They were beaten twice by Leeds. And Leeds do have the highest percentage of shots and highest percentage of possession in the league this season. It's something that Derby will have to contend with, but they've made a reasonable start. And here's Lawrence again, bounding forward, playing the ball into the feet of Nugent. It was missed by Ayling, and Berardi comes through to Nugent again, edge of the penalty area, trying to twist his way into a crossing position, delivers the ball towards the far post. It wasn't the best delivery, it was too close to the goalkeeper, and out comes Kiko Casilla, who had a wobble last week against Ipswich, and clutches the ball from the sky and bowls it into his central defenders. 0-0.
I think David Nugent would prefer to be the other end of that. Then he's looking to be the assister, but really wants to be in the box and getting in between Cooper and Berardi. But it's been a bright start from Derby. Leeds have not really settled, not got into the passing routine that has made them so impressive this season.
Yeah, they look a little bit ragged, don't they? They've given the ball away again, and here the ball has been picked up over on the far side, the right, by Holmes into Wilson. Wilson to the edge of the penalty area. He sent David Nugent away. His shot is deflected into the air, and it goes up over the crossbar and out for the first corner of the game. And it's a corner that goes Derby County's way.
Yeah, great play from Derby. They worked it through the lines, and Wilson ran quickly through into the Leeds back four, drove inside and looking for the slide rule pass for Nugent, who managed to get away from Cooper, got his shot off, but good defending from Lee and Cooper, and gone out for the corner.
It is the first corner, and it goes in favour of the home team, and the noise inside this stadium has been pretty terrific since around about 5 o'clock. It's a near post corner towards Lawrence, who can't do anything really with that. It was at chest height and it was difficult for him to deal with. It's cleared by Leeds up to halfway. Malone has tried to head it down into Bogle, who's dispossessed over on that far side, the left. And here's Harrison for Leeds, who've turned it over quickly and now coming on the counter-attack. And Roof is sprinting into the area, but the delivery is over his head and it floats harmlessly behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Derby County 0, Leeds United 0, live on Talksport with McDonald's Fun Football, providing over 5 million hours of fun grassroots football to the UK by 2022.
I think Frank Lampard will be pleased with how his team started, but disappointed there. They've got a set piece, and they've certainly got the height advantage over Leeds have, and they don't manage to miss the first man, so it's something they'll need to improve on and could be a threat from.
And something that Frank talked about actually in the aftermath of the game last week, as Lawrence picks the ball up from a flick on by Nugent and tries to get a shot away. It breaks for Holmes, who's about 5 yards outside the area. When he cracks his shot goalwards, it's blocked by Cooper, comes through on the edge of the box to Lawrence once again, half cleared by Cooper once more, picked up by Malone, who floats a delivery towards the far edge of the penalty area, but it was off radar and goes behind and away for a goal kick. Frank was talking about, he had a bit of criticism, I think, because some of the supporters were expecting, when there was an issue with Waghorn last week, that Jack Marriott would come into the team or come off the bench and may even have been a contender to start today if Waghorn didn't recover. But Nugent, he says, offers them that little bit of physicality which Marriott doesn't, and that's where Waghorn have been so successful.
Well, definitely, and I just mentioned that behind David Nugent, you've got four lads who've got so much energy, pace about them, and if he can give them the focal point to get it into his feet, into his chest, then the likes of Holmes, Wilson, Mount and Lawrence can use their energy and creativity to really affect the game.
Yeah, the boys on the left-hand side with Dallas delivering a cross into the box for Leeds, and then it's mishandled by Malone, who sort of half-chested it and then tried to keep it under control and get it back to his goalkeeper, but ended up steering it behind and away for the first Leeds United corner of the day.
I think that's been a big thing for Leeds this year, that they do counter-attack really quickly with a good quality. Hernandez, Harrison can carry the ball very quickly, 20-30 yards, get Roof into the box, and let's just see now how Derby handle their first corner against them tonight.
Well, it looks like it's a set piece that's been worked upon. It's like the love train that England worked on during the World Cup, as Phillips comes forward with an out-swinging kick towards Roof, who tries to get a first-time shot on target but miskicks it, comes back towards Click, who shoots well wide from 40 yards.
Yeah, Roof managed to get away from whoever was marking him. They got the block on, and fortunately from his perspective he couldn't really get a touch on it and fell to somebody who had a nameless shot wide. Well,
they sent that sort of love train forward to sort of disrupt the Derby defence, didn't they? And they just left Kemar Roof on the edge of the penalty area. Here come Derby as the ball's floated over the top of Ayling, and in behind him is Lawrence trying to take him on by the byline, cuts back in field, right-footed cross into the centre, is easily gobbled up by Kiko Casilla, who drops on it, smothers it, and will clear away for Leeds United. It's 0-0 on Talksport, and what is a busy weekend of live action. Later on tonight, Alex Crook and Neil Redfern will bring you live commentary of Sunderland against Portsmouth. And then tomorrow, Doncaster against Charlton is on Talksport 2 with Mark Wilson and Neil Redfern. And the Premier League final day will be up and down the country, everywhere. I'll be at Brighton tomorrow. Dance and Ray Houghton will be at Liverpool. As the ball comes into the box on the left-hand side, Click's got it now, bringing the ball down for Leeds. It goes back to the edge of the area, and it's whipped towards the far post by Dallas, 3 yards over the top of the crossbar, and it's out for a goal kick away to our right.
Yeah, Leeds did well there. They kept the second ball alive, came out to Stuart Dallas from his left-back position onto his strong right foot, and hit a decent shot. Went past Killer Roos's left hand quite comfortably, but you saw Leeds getting bodies forward, getting into the box and asking questions of the Derby back four.
All cleared away by Keller-Roos. Here's Tom Lawrence from the middle of the Leeds United half, just trying to flick the ball into the path of Malone. It comes off Pablo Hernandez and out for a throw-in away to our left. 13 minutes gone in the game. It's been a lively encounter so far. Two teams so desperate to get back into the Premier League, but they know there's certain hurdles to jump first. And certainly both of them no strangers to disappointment in this competition, this end of season competition. And the omens aren't great for Derby, because 7 of the last 8 teams that have finished 6th in the Championship have lost their playoff semi-final. The exception was Sheffield Wednesday, and they lost in the final.
It's funny, isn't it, Sam? People always say this about this, that and the other, but records are there to be broken. When I was the Preston manager, 9 times Preston had lost in playoffs, and I said, well, one day that record is going to be broken. Unfortunately, from our perspective, through 10th time lucky. And Leeds aren't very good in the playoffs as well when you look at their history.
Well, they've never been promoted by the playoffs, have they? And they've had their heartbreaks. And Derby have only been promoted once from 7 attempts of the end of season lottery.
I think what Derby have done well this year when they appointed Frank was that they wanted to reduce the age of the squad, bring the budget down, and they've used the low market really well. He's gone into Chelsea and got Tomori and Mason Mount, Harry Wilson from Liverpool, and that's a contact and what Frank's deserved to do.
Simon, but let's be honest about it. Harry Wilson, Fikayo Tomori, the player of the season, Mason Mount, Bradley Johnson's out of contract at the end of the season, Keller-Roos is out of contract at the end of the season. It won't be like this next year.
No, but if they're in the Premier League, then they'll have the money to spend. That's what they're going to be banking on. I get what you're saying.
Here's Click down the right side for Leeds, and delivers the ball towards the penalty spot, cleared away and mopped up by Richard Keoghs in the 4th campaign in the playoffs of his career, as Ayling picks it up right side, dances past Tomori once, but not the second time, and Fikayo Tomori, who was calm, composed, considered, and waited for the right moment to nab that ball, tucks it out for a throw-in on the level with the edge of the penalty area. 0-0. Ayling to take the throw. Launches it in towards Hernandez, who dives to the floor, wants a free kick. Referee says play on, there's an advantage here. Ayling crosses, it hits the body of Johnson and ricochets behind and away for another Leeds United corner, their second of the game.
Yeah, just going back to that point, I get what you're saying. You want some sort of long-term future and some sort of structure to where you're going to go with, but they've decided to go with it that way this year, Derby. I think they'll address the situation in the summer, seeing what division they're going to be in.
And whether or not the owner decides to stick around. Phillips places the ball in the quadrant, sends an outswinger towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's missed by 3 Derby players, and then almost came through to Hernandez on the edge of the box. And eventually Leeds do get the chance to recycle it. Phillips on to Hernandez, then trying to take on Mason Mount, who comes across to him. He's down in the right wing position here, Hernandez, moving towards the edge of the box. He scoots past Nugent, then gives it to Phillips, whose cross is headed away by Malone, and then touched by Wilson out towards Mount. And Derby just trying to get themselves out of trouble here. They're deep inside their own territory. Eventually Malone will hack it clear, but it's only as far as Cooper, and Leeds have it back again. 0-0 the score. Leeds coming on the offensive. Still Frank Lampard stands in that technical area with those shiny black shoes reflecting the light from the floodlights that are on here on what is a rather wintry day, really. We've had a mixture of seasons. It absolutely threw it down when Laura and I were walking from the train station. It stopped soon afterwards once it had soaked us, and the sun's out a little bit now above our heads. Messed up my hair.
Would have done that to mine, so I'm alright.
Here is Malone to take the throw-in on this near side. And he's just trying to organise those in front of him. There's not much movement from the Derby players as he launches it down the touchline. It's flicked on by Nugent, almost comes through to Wilson, and it's hoisted into the sky by Cooper, headed away by Tomori. Now back with Derby again on the edge of their own penalty area. Hit high into the sky. Forshaw was bundled into by Dwayne Holmes, but it's picked up again by Leeds, who are not too adverse to just tossing it into the box. It comes through to Roof, and then Hernandez going down the outside. He's got 3 stopping him from getting the cross in. It hits Malone, zone and bounces behind, and it's another Leeds corner.
This is going to be an interesting battle tonight. Hernandez on the right-hand side against Scott Malone, who likes to get forward, but he has to stop Hernandez. Hernandez is the key player for Leeds. Got goals, got assists in him. He finds Roof, he finds the other players who are making them forward runs, so that's going to be a key battle tonight.
No Ashley Cole, who is still injured. Phillips sends the cross in towards the near post, a little glancing header, defended well by Derby, comes back to Click, who miskicks that, comes to Roof, who tries an overhead kick as he was running away from goal. Always going to be a difficult technique from that sort of range, didn't really get over the top of it, and it skews behind and away for a goal kick away to our right. 0-0 the score. And Leeds, after what was a tentative start where Derby seemed to be settling into the game better, have just slowly but surely, Simon, taken a grip of it.
Yeah, it's been frenetic, but I think the only thing that both teams and many of the coaches will be a little bit disappointed will be what's happening in the final third, in and around the 18-yard box. There's not been enough quality with the final pass, the final cross, and that'll be the difference between supplying and finishing games off when you've got a good substance of play.
And two big teams with heritage trying to get themselves into the Premier League here at Pride Park. Two of the best teams in rugby union contesting the European Champions Cup final. And at St James's Park for us this afternoon, Russ Hargreaves, what's the latest?
Yeah, played 35 minutes, Sam. It's Leinster 3, Saracens 0. Leinster ahead, courtesy of a Johnny Sexton penalty. And moments ago, the Irish province so close to a try. Brilliant break from Rob Carney. Sarries keeping them out illegally. No tries to the TMO, but a yellow card for England's Maro Itoje. It's Leinster 3, Saracens 0.
Click with an up and under. Little grubber kick out into the corner for Roof to chase. He doesn't quite reach it, and it goes out of play and away for a throw-in, a goal kick, away to our right-hand side. But again, it's not the first time that Leeds have got the ball on the halfway line and quite happy just to toss it in behind the Derby defence.
Yeah, and it caused a bit of hesitation. You saw Ruth there, he didn't know where to come for it, and Keogh was expecting him to come for it, and if it had been a better ball, it would have just landed in between both the centre-back and the goalkeeper, and might have had an opportunity. So it's something that they have to be aware of, Derby.
64% possession now Leeds have had, 36 for Derby County. No one's had a shot on target in the game yet. Neither goalkeeper has been called into a save. Here's Malone, forward to Lawrence, a little spin round the corner for Nugent. It comes back to Lawrence, but headed away by Cooper, the big, tall centre-back, who has been heavily influenced by Marcelo Bielsa. Ayling juggles with it on his thigh, not once but twice, and then sends it to the halfway line. But then Holmes dispossesses Hernandez on the left-hand side and runs towards the edge of the Leeds penalty area. Skips past one challenge, then a second, and then Ayling comes across to stop him from going past a third. And eventually Leeds managed to get it clear, but that was a good run by Holmes. He was a big doubt for this game, and it was important for Frank Lampard that he was available, and certainly almost made a massive impact there. Here come Leeds on the counter. Forshaw's made a good run on this near side, the right. They've gone left instead to Harrison. Harrison on the edge of the box. He's got support from Dallas. He's going down the outside, trying to get the cross in. It bounces off Keogh and goes behind and away for the fourth Leeds corner of the game.
Well, it's not been dull, has it, Sam? It's been end-to-end. You've got Dwayne Holmes there driving into the box. It breaks down all of a sudden into Roof. Goes out to Harrison on the left-hand side, and he wants to be positive from loan from Manchester City and gets another corner on the far side for Leeds.
Leeds have slowed up in front of goal recently. Can they make the breakthrough here? Phillips in towards the near post. It takes a little bounce through the 6-yard area. Roos is not happy about the fact it came all the way through to Ayling. Didn't manage to get a strike on goal, and it's cleared away by Mason Mount. But that's not the first time. The ball's gone right the way through the Derby defensive.
That's probably the third time that they've done the near post corner, and no Derby players been on the first contact, and it's something they've got to make sure that they're aware of.
Here's Harrison again for Leeds, darting down the left-hand side, trying to get towards the edge of the area, held off by Bogle, who turns and fires it forward, and it bounces once before Cooper goes across. Then there's a tangle between him and Nugent. The ball goes out of play, and it's out for a Leeds throw over on the far side.
We've got Nugent down and Forshaw down for Leeds as well. Two different incidents, but be interesting there what David Nugent did when he went to challenge Liam Cooper on the far side. I'm not sure what Adam Forshaw did.
Unorthodox, wasn't it, the challenge that he went with? He went sort of like almost aerially to try and win the ball. He did manage to get the ball, but I think his left foot, which was the one poking out towards Cooper, got a whack from the centre half, and he's gone down, and he just needs to sort of stretch something off. He's just leaning on Richard Keogh, his club captain at the moment, trying to sort himself out. There is a drinks break here, and a couple of the players have come across to get some sort of refreshment, whilst Adam Forshaw has some attention. Luke Ayling obviously has had to change his man bun to brush his hair and then do it back up again, just to make sure that
modern day footballers for you.
It's nice and tight.
I think going back to the 60s, they'll have gone over for a quick pint, wouldn't they? But I think Adams Forshaw's he looks a concern here. I'm not sure what he did, but it looks like it might be a muscular injury rather than a contact injury, but it'll be interesting to see if he can continue. No, he can't. Jamie Shackleton's going to come on in midfield for him.
Yeah, he's going to have to, isn't he? And that's a real disappointment for Adam Forshaw, who has been talking about how he has started to think about the game differently because of the influence of the South American who is in charge of Leeds United. But it's an early change, and you don't want to be making changes at this sort of stage, do you?
Not really. Jamie Shackleton is a versatile player. He's got plenty of pace about him. He likes to tackle, so he'll be in there amongst Dwayne Holmes and the other athletic Derby midfield players. He'll look to break forward off Mason Mount, but do his defensive duties as well. And again, Leeds' squad is a little bit threadbare at this moment in time, where you've got the likes of Janssen, who's missed today. Douglas is out for the season. Alioski as well. Banford suspended, and Tyler Roberts as well. So it's a depleted Leeds squad at the moment.
Indeed, and the bench tells you that story as well, don't you? I mean, Shackleton's 19 years of age, Robbie Gott's 19 years of age, Jack Clark is 18 years of age. There's two teenagers in Struick and Brugesh who have come into the squad as well today. It's not blessed with experience.
But this is one of the sort of, not criticism that people have had to Bielsa, that he allegedly had money to spend in January and turned down the opportunity because he wanted to work with a small squad and the younger players, but maybe just that couple of extra bodies would have helped him get over the line in terms of automatic promotion. The one big player that they're going to who they did miss out on is Daniel James, who looks allegedly could be going to Manchester United, so that would be a big miss.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. 10 million quid.
Yeah, I think Leeds were in about 5 million for him, and they'd agreed the deal, and then at the last minute it all got stopped for whatever reason, so they'll be disappointed.
Maybe someone heard that Manchester United were interested.
I think he's kicked on since January. He's looked a real player.
25 minutes to go. 25 minutes gone, and it is Leeds on the ball on halfway, but Ayling has given it to Johnson for Derby, and now Mount has found Dwayne Holmes, who just stutters and turns away from Calvin Phillips, who dives in and loses out, and Holmes escapes his grasp and runs forward into the Leeds United half. The Derby man still going here, comes to Nugent inside the area, tries to get it back to Holmes, he can't get it under control, and then it's cleared, smuggled away by the Leeds United defence after Holmes ran at them at rapid pace and looked to be slaloming his way all the way to goal.
Yeah, got a couple of ricochets, and now it's going to the other end with Ruth.
He's in the left wing position for Leeds, darting into the box, coming in on his right foot and trying to roll it back to Stuart Dallas, who tees up Calvin Phillips, who hits it right underneath the ball, and it spirals into the air. It's a proper shank from Calvin Phillips, and don't the Derby fans let him know about it.
There's only one more thing that it could be more embarrassing, that it went out for a throw-in instead of a goal kick. If he was a rugby player, he'd be quite happy to get it into that far corner, but not one of Calvin's better strikes, should we say.
Bielsa reacted very quickly when Forshaw went down. He shouted immediately at his bench the three players who he thought could be contenders to come on and replace him and get them to run down the left-hand side immediately, and they're very quick in responding to his task. He's very good at sort of keeping the players at arm's length. He's not a mate of the players, no. That's for sure. He's very much the patriarchal figure, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I think he's got the staff that do a lot of work for him. He's obviously the figurehead of everything, and the players ultimately respect him for what he's done in the game, but ultimately what he's doing for them at this moment in time, because he's made every Leeds United player better, feel better about themselves, improve them technically and tactically, and he's put the feel-good factor back into the city of Leeds.
Here is Hernandez playing the ball down the left-hand side. He's picked up by the on-rushing Shackleton, and eventually it's cleared away by Malone up to halfway, and now Cooper has it. And it's left by Berardi for his goalkeeper, Kiko Garcia, and Derby fans getting a little bit frustrated that they're when the ball does go up to Nugent, at the moment it's coming straight back, and Leeds are very much dominating possession, as maybe we expected they would, because that's what they do.
I don't think there's a game this season where an opposition have dominated possession against Leeds United. So it's what they do, but it's what you do with possession of the ball. Don't just keep it for the sake of it. More times than not, Leeds have possession and then they create something off the back of it.
But one of the things they haven't done is taken all the chances that have been presented to them. Go back to the Brentford game, they missed key chances. They missed key chances last week in the Wigan game too. And 27 attempts they had last week in that game against Ipswich, and they only scored twice.
I think on Good Friday when they played Wigan, they were into the 50s, I think, the attempts at that, and lost 2-1 at home, and then that was really the sort of the end of the automatic push.
Ayling allows the ball to come towards him, and Malone, I think, misjudged that, and then Ayling didn't expect it to come straight to him, and then wasn't expecting it, so it went out and away for a throw-in to Derby in the left full-back position. Let's go straight back to St James's Park. Russ Hargreaves is watching the European Champions Cup final in Rugby Union. There's been a try.
There has indeed. It's Leinster 10, Saracens 0. Make that Saracens 3. Owen Farrell slots his first kick at goal. The try for the Irish province from their Lions prop, Tyke Furlong, crashing over, converted by Sexton to go with his earlier penalty. Sarries down to 14 men, time with a Toje yellow card in, and both props, Mako Vunipola and Titi Lamasatelli, off the field injured. It's Leinster 10, Saracens 3.
Leeds on the attack back here at Pride Park, but it's given away rather cheaply by Pablo Hernandez, the former Swansea player, picked up by Bogle, who's charging forward. He's overrun it, and it's gone all the way back to Liam Cooper at the heart of the Leeds United defence. 29 minutes played. You're listening to Talksport. Simon Grayson and Sam Mutterface in the commentary box here this evening in the first of two evening kickoffs for you tonight. Talksport 2 will bring you Sunderland against Portsmouth a little bit later on. The ball is on the left with Kemar Roof, though, into the area, produces a cross, almost came through to Hernandez, did come through to Ayling, he miscontrolled it again. He goes through his legs and out towards the near side. Back in field to Phillips, keeping the pressure on here, Leeds. Picked up by Cooper, who's striding into the Derby half. He sends it wide. Harrison with a cross in towards Shackleton. His first touch is a poor one, and it's gobbled up by Keogh and cleared towards the midway point of the Derby half. It comes back again, and then it's hacked clear by Bogle, but very quickly it's back in blue, and the Derby fans getting slightly frustrated, a little bit apprehensive about the amount of Leeds possession and the fact that they just can't get out of their own half.
Well,
Simon,
that's a big thing, that they're getting the bodies back to try and stop Leeds from getting attempts on goal and on target, but when they do clear it, David Nugent's finding himself really isolated against Berardi and Liam Cooper, with Calvin Phillips just protecting in front. So what they've got to do is make sure that when they get the ball back, can they get a couple of passes in, can they get it into people's feet and then into Nugent's feet, where they've just been clearing things hopelessly, and it's not allowed them to get any possession back into the game.
Well, they showed great composure and maturity in the game against West Brom last Sunday when they conceded, found themselves in a real high pressure game, having to go and score a goal. They got 2 in 3 minutes as a result of that. They just need to hold their nerve here. Holmes, lovely little wriggle and run towards the edge of the Leeds penalty area. He sends it down the left for Wilson to chase. The goalkeeper comes out though, and Casilla has been very good actually, barring the little wobble he had last week. Comes and collects for Leeds United and then bowls it out to his captain Liam Cooper once again. 0-0.
Well, that's better from Derby. We were just talking about getting a foothold back into the game, passing and moving, driving midfield players forward, and trying to get little runners off the back of the two centre backs. So that's better. At least it's got them out their own half now, and making sure that the Derby supporters don't get too anxious.
Click midway inside the Derby half, on the half turn, plays the ball towards the edge of the area. Bogle gets there ahead of Harrison and then stabs it out towards the far side. It goes out for a throw. Frank Lampard still believes that Derby are the underdogs in the playoffs. He said there is a reason we finished 6th, and it is worth remembering that Derby won only 3 of their home games against the members of the top 9 in the Championship this season. Here, as we enter the first game of the post-season for both these two teams, Leeds coming forward, but on off. I think the ball just gone out of play over on the far side. It's going to be a throw-in to Derby. Big result for Aston Villa earlier on today. They beat West Bromwich Albion by 2 goals to 1, and they themselves have come into form towards the end of the campaign.
Yeah, they had them 10 wins on the bounce, and then drew at Elland Road and lost to the champions last week at Norwich, home to Norwich. but it's another tight game. West Brom obviously went 1 in front and then 2-1 down. Dwight Gale being sent off and suspended isn't going to be ideal for West Brom, but there's still plenty to play for. The game's certainly not over, but Villa will fancy the chances.
As we've learnt in the last 7 days, it's never ever over.
Unbelievable week.
Tomori went in pretty dangerously there and just must have got something on the ball to steer it out of play. Shackleton rode the challenge anyway, and it goes out of play on this near side. Craig Pawson just having a little word with Tomori about how over-exuberant he was with that challenge. He does like a challenge.
Yeah, it was well timed, because if he'd literally a second later he'd missed the ball, and he would have certainly made contact with Jamie Shackleton, and I think he would have been facing at least a yellow card.
Ball is on the near side, backheeled by Hernandez, goes through the legs of Mason Mount. Somehow it goes out for a throw-in to Leeds United. I thought it took a little flick actually off Mason Mount as it went through. And Tomori now being spoken to more intently by Craig Pawson, the referee.
I'm not sure why he's doing that. He's not made it's not a bad tackle. Yes, it could have potentially been, but you've got to expect that in the Championship. You might not get it too often in the Premier League, players going in for them sort of lunging tackles, but he's not done anything wrong. He's already had a word with him. He don't need to continue with it.
Yeah, Richard Keogh's getting involved now as well, trying to plead the case for the defence. And it's going to be a Derby throw down this near side. Remember, you can hear the second leg of both West Brom against Aston Villa and Leeds against Derby from Ellen Road on Tuesday and Wednesday night here on Talksport. And all the playoff finals as well, which we're very much looking forward to. Big summer to come with the Women's World Cup. And of course the Nations League as well, it still needs to be sorted out, although I don't think Gareth Southgate will be as happy as everybody else was in midweek with the number of England players who are going to be involved in the 2 European finals ahead of that big tournament in the summer. Here is Ayling deep inside the Leeds United half on the right hand side. Sends the ball back to Cooper, who in turn gives it to his goalkeeper Casilla, who clips the ball high into the air on the halfway line. Rufus trying to fight with Tomori for it. He gets the flick on and Click gets in behind Tomori and goes down the right side. Tomori has got back at him. It's been through the on-loan Chelsea defender's legs, but he's done very well to hold him off and then just waits for Johnson to become available and strokes it into him, and Derby try and play their way out of trouble. Lawrence gets a little bit caught in possession. The ball bounces to Hernandez, and now it's with Leeds again. 10 minutes before half-time, the Leeds fans over on the far side with their big flags and banners draped over every single empty seat, cheering their team forward, pulling them into that corner over on the far side, and that is where they run with Harrison, who is dispossessed. The ball goes out for a throw-in, and they come again. Phillips being pursued by Mount. On to Dallas. Dallas with a little touch into Harrison. Shackleton tries to take over. His heavy touch takes it out of play, and it goes out and away for a goal kick away to our right hand side. Derby County 0, Leeds United 0 on Talksport, with McDonald's Fun Football providing over 5 million hours of fun grassroots football to the UK by 2022.
Well, we're just 10 minutes short of the half-time whistle. Been lots of endeavour from both teams. Not really had that quality from either team yet to ask a question of either goalkeeper. I don't think either goalkeeper has had a shot to save so far.
Nope. And I don't know whether or not they'll be either goalkeeper will be too happy about that. Both of them like the action. Here is Kumar Roof. He might need some action now. Keller-Roos, as the ball goes into the centre. Roof tries to tee up Click, but cross came to Mori and got his captain out of a bit of trouble, and the ball goes out of play and away for a throw-in. Over on the far side, picked up by Harrison, trying to wriggle away from Harry Wilson. It's back into Dallas. Dallas tries to get the cross in. It's a deep one, too close to the goalkeeper, and there is Keller-Roos to come and collect and very quickly distribute up to the halfway line. We're galloping forward for Derby. Is Lawrence trying to take on Berardi, goes on the outside, then squeezes in between two defenders, past a third, then sets the ball up for Dwayne Holmes, who tries to get it onto his right foot to shoot. Wilson then delivers the ball into the box. It wasn't a great delivery, and then it's smuggled away after Lawrence tried to head in the second ball, and Cooper gets it out towards the far side, but still Derby have possession. Holmes trying a little backheel to get beyond Phillips. Phillips, though, has adapted to his new position rather well, knows exactly what he's doing and puts it out for a throw.
Good goalkeeping from Roos there. He managed to throw the ball out very quickly. They tried to break away. Lawrence has never been one who's got blistering pace, but what he tries to do, he tries to manoeuvre the ball, try and get 1-2s round the box, and unfortunately from Derby's perspective it sort of petered out, but at least it's given them a little bit of sustained pressure just before half time.
Here is Dwayne Holmes again. The ball, I think, already strayed over on the far side, and it's out for a throw-in level with the edge of the penalty area. Let's go off to half-time at St James's Park in the European Champions Rugby Cup final. Russ Hargreaves.
It's all turned around, Sam. It's Leinster 10, Saracens 10. Sarries 10 down and with a man in the bin. Back on came Maro Itoje. Penalty from Owen Farrell. And just before half-time, Scotland wing Sean Maitland. Acres of space, scored in the left-hand corner, converted by Farrell. And boy, we've got a European final on our hands. At the break, it's 10-all.
Mount sends it to Lawrence. Lawrence gives it away. Picked up by Calvin Phillips for Leeds United. And it goes back out to the left-hand side where it's collected by Stuart Dallas. Infield to Cooper, then Berardi, who's himself been suffering with injury. Ayling through the legs of Malone, gets to the edge of the penalty area, tries to take on Tamori, beats him, pulls it back through the 18-yard box. There's no one in blue to get there. There was a vital touch just to steer it away. There's a push on Mount which gives Derby a free kick, but that was a really good run by Luke Ayling down the right-hand side, through the legs of one defender, round the other, and then producing a ball through the 18-yard box, which was certainly dangerous.
Yeah, that's one of Luke Ayling's strengths. He does love to get forward. He loves to sort of try and take the game to the opposition, and then what you'll find is even when he's going down the right-hand side, you've still got Stuart Dallas getting in on the far post, because that's how Leeds play, with the fullbacks pushing high and wide, with the luxury of Calvin Phillips just protecting them.
Well, Nugent has won the ball on halfway, turned, spun and tried to push the ball into the corner for, well, I think he was hoping that Bogle was chasing out there, but it was an ambitious request.
Yeah, maybe he should just stick to his passing and moving it, giving it to the players that can do that.
Cooper trying to bring the ball out of defence for Leeds United, who finished third in the table. Derby, who finished sixth, pressing them, trying to stop them from getting out, but they can't do that, and Phillips has stroked it up to halfway, where Pablo Hernandez has it now, skating down the right side, taken on by Ayling towards the edge of the penalty area. He looks up, plays it infield towards Roof back towards Click, and then Ayling taking on Tamori. A left-footed cross this time is too close to the goalkeeper, and Keller Roos comes and collects, and then we'll clear away. Talksport supports the work of Prostate Cancer UK. Visit prostatecanceruk.org/football to find out how you can help, and together we can stop prostate cancer killing a man every 45 minutes. Adrian Durham is back tomorrow to bring you the final day of the Premier League season with all the goals as they go in. Teams at all the games that matter. I'll be with Stuart Pearce at Brighton as they take on Manchester City. Aid, Dance, Ray Houghton at Liverpool. Reporters up and down the country at all the games. John Watson's at Watford West Ham, I think, tomorrow. And we will be watching Watford and Manchester City a week today in the FA Cup final, live on Talksport.
Nice little trip as well in a few weeks' time. Maybe you're going to the back.
Not telling anyone yet.
All right. Better set off now by the sounds of it.
Yeah. 4 minutes to go before the end of the half. Talksport. Got one of those big backpacks, have you?
You'll need it with your trip. It's a long, long way by all accounts. I think I'll watch it on telly or listen to you on the radio.
2,437 miles. Not that far.
Get your bike out.
Here is Dwayne Holmes in the centre of midfield. Oh, he's given the ball away because he was beaten to it by Phillips. He's turned over. It's 2-on-2 here. Ruth needs to think quickly. He hasn't. He's slowed up, and that's allowed Derby to get back in as he's played it to Hernandez, edge of the area, onto his left foot, drifting infield. Mason Mount's got back, nabbed the ball, and now Derby try to counter-attack, and they combine well, Lawrence and Mount, to get to the halfway line. Across comes Berardi. Dispossesses Mount. The ball goes out of play and away for a throw-in on this near side. It's tense, it's finely poised, it's very tight between these two teams. Leeds may have a lot of the possession, but Derby County quite adept at breaking quickly and causing a problem for Leeds United, unsettling them as they try to escape.
Yeah, I think credit to Derby. They've defended well. They've got bodies in around the 18-yard box and not allowed Leeds to get any free shots on goal. Asked questions of them too often. So I think both managers, as it stands at this moment in time, will be quite pleased of how the first half gone. Leeds with the possession, Derby how they've counter-attacked quickly, but how they've defended as well.
Yeah, pretty even in the game so far. 3 minutes before half-time. You're listening to Talksport. You mentioned that Leeds have had to deal with those key injuries. Squad looks a little bit light going towards the end of the season. I wonder how much of that is down to the intensity with which Leeds have been made to train by Marcelo Bielsa. Here is Mount trying to pick up a loose ball on the edge of the area. Doesn't come through to him, it's nabbed away. Phillips tries to take it to halfway, but Dwayne Holmes is fouled, is he? Free kick given in favour of Derby County, just in front of the centre circle.
I think it'd be no coincidence that the way they've trained is you've got to accept that if you're going to train them with that intensity, you've got to play with that intensity, and you are going to be liable to more injuries than teams that will play with a slower pace, maybe play a little bit more on the counter-attack, play a little bit deeper. Leeds play this high-pressing game, and you are susceptible to injuries.
And far be it for me to criticise Marcelo Bielsa, but that would probably be one of the reasons why people have raised an eyebrow that he only signed Kiko Garcia in the January transfer window.
Yeah, I think that was something that a lot of people looked at it and thought, yes, a couple more players could be the difference between automatic promotion or running out of steam and ending up into the playoffs. So time will tell. Still got this second opportunity with the playoffs. What was going into the injury time nearly of the first half, which has been evenly poised, where Leeds have not showed any fatigue. They've looked bright, they've looked sharp, the passing has been quite crisp. They give Derby credit of how they've defended so far. Well,
you certainly can't accuse them of not having any work rate, as that Derby free kick floats harmlessly out of play away to our left-hand side. But they have picked up another injury in Adam Forshaw, who went off with a muscular problem after those 23 minutes of the game, so they've had to reshuffle once again. Derby themselves without Martin Waghorn today, which is why Nugent is leading the line. He's just given the ball away on halfway, picked up by Click and sent forward down the right for Kemar Roof. No Patrick Bamford because he's banned. Now Roof has it once again, touches it on to Hernandez. Hernandez towards the left, steered away by Bogle, who's alert to the presence of Harrison on the left edge of the area. Comes back to Dallas infield. Now it's picked up on this near side by Phillips towards the far touchline, and Dallas cutting in on his right foot, deep cross towards the far post. Roof is underneath it, and Kemar Roof can't get there because Tom Lawrence, just at the vital moment, stuck his head in the way and nudged it out for a corner.
I tell you something, that was good play from Lawrence there, that he decided to do his defensive duties really well, known for his attacking prowess, but he decided to follow his runner. And if he hadn't got anything on the header, then Kemar Roof was going to have a free header on target, and with his goals record so far this season, I would have thought that would be in the back of the net. So good discipline work from Tom Lawrence.
30 seconds of the first half still to play. The love train is back for Leeds United, all lined up in a line back from the penalty spot towards the edge of the area. Phillips' delivery goes into the near post, hooked away by the first man, comes to Mount, but he can't get it any further away than Click, who's on the edge of the centre circle. Leeds come again down the left. Ayling has found himself out there. He gets to the byline, produces a cross. Rofe trying to get the shot in, comes back to Ayling, and then it's smashed goalwards on the edge of the area by Dallas. Surely there must have been an offside flag there. Oh, there it is. Evening. Wakey.
I'm not quite sure. Maybe his headset's not working. I don't know. He's got no excuses there because...
don't worry about the headset. What about the eyes?
Exactly. Maybe his arm's not working. He couldn't lift his flag up. But it was plainly clear that Ayling had gone for the 1-2, ended up going off the pitch, came back onto the pitch, and... well, that would have been interesting if... he would have got overruled. Well, we've got no VAR, haven't we? So maybe it wouldn't have done.
You never know. I'll take you back to the Cardiff City Stadium earlier in the campaign. Anything can happen.
Well, I mean, you don't need a decision like that to have an influence on a game of this magnitude.
Absolutely not.
I'm sure Cardiff will say the same as well.
Yes. 1 minute played at the start of added time at the end of the first 45. It's still 0-0. The ball is back on the edge of the Leeds penalty area, and no one's putting pressure on Berardi, and that's a source of some frustration. There is the half-time whistle. No clear-cut chances for either of these two teams in what was a fiercely contested first 45 minutes. There is only one team in the country with better home form than Derby right now, Liverpool. No wonder Leeds are finding it hard to put them down. At the break, it's Derby 0, Leeds United 0. Well, I've seen the stills of that Fikayo Tomori challenge on Jamie Shackleton at half-time, and he has left the ground with both feet. He tackles with just one leg, but he was raising the possibility, wasn't he, of a red card?
Well, I think when you see something like that, it does give the opportunity to the referee to maybe set a yellow card or a red card. As I said in commentary, the good thing about it for him is that he won the ball, but you can see why Craig Pawson gave him a stern word after the event.
We are underway in the second half with Leeds United decked out in navy blue, shooting from right to left, and the home team, Derby County, in white shirts, black shorts and white socks, shooting from left to right. And the ball is on the halfway line. No further changes as the ball is hacked forward towards Kemar Roof, who's sprinting through the centre. It was Click who played it on to him from the midway point of the Derby half, but he couldn't latch onto the end of the ball, and it's cleared away by the aforementioned Fikayo Tomori, who's on the edge of the Derby penalty area. And one of the problems that they had towards the end of that first half, Simon, was getting out of their own half. How are they going to improve the linking up between Wilson, Nugent and Tom Lawrence?
Yeah, they've got to get a balance right. They're trying to play through the lines, but making sure that not playing in the wrong areas. It has to go up to Nugent, so be. But if they can get it to the fullbacks, and then the movement from the midfield three, Bradley Johnson trying to free himself up from anybody.
Here come Leeds again with Click out towards the right corner flag, into the centre, comes back towards the edge of the 6-yard box after it was missed by Roof, and it was hit by Harrison, but it cannoned off the defender and goes behind and away for the first corner of the second half. It goes Leeds United's way.
Again, you've seen the energy from the three midfield players of Leeds. Klitsch getting down the right-hand side, Shackleton breaking into the far post and made contact, but a decent block from the Derby defender. But again, Derby got to be aware of the runs from midfield, because they do break very quickly, Leeds.
2 minutes gone in the second half. Corner to be taken on this near side, and it will be taken by Calvin Phillips, the 23-year-old, who places it down, then whips it in towards the centre of the 6-yard box. There's a header which is by Roof, but comes back out of the box rather than towards the goal, and then when Phillips gets a chance to recycle it, he hits it way over the top and well wide and out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. So Derby County 0, Leeds United 0 in the first leg of the Championship playoff on Talksport. Leeds won the 2 regular season games by an aggregate scoreline of 6-1, but they were helped in part by a man in the undergrowth, and it cost Marcelo Bielsa £200,000 personally. He paid the fine that the club were given by the EFL. Have you ever played a club fine yourself out of your own pocket?
Not that figure anyway. I'm a tight Yorkshireman, don't worry about that. There's no money coming out of my pocket when I don't need to.
Must have quite deep pockets, mustn't he?
Well, he's had some good jobs and some good salaries.
Here is Calvin Phillips on to Dallas. Of course, his job at the moment is to get Leeds back in the Premier League after a 15-year absence. It's been such a long time. There's not many people well, I'm sure there is quite a few people, sadly I'm one of them, but there's quite a few people that don't even remember Leeds as a Premier League club.
No, such a long time ago, and then before they fell out of the Premier League, we're in the Champions League semi-final, weren't they? Losing out, I don't remember who they lost to be fair now, but it was golden era of Leeds United when they had the likes of Robbie Keane and Danny Mills, and they had a fantastic team and got so close, tried to live the dream, and then unfortunately went into administration off the back of it.
Well, it's turned into a nightmare ever since, hasn't it, really? And, you know, there have been a few ups on the way back, but they still crave to be back with the big boys in the Premier League, and they can see it, they can feel it, they can smell it, but it's still some distance away, and it hasn't moved any closer for either of these two teams in the first 50 minutes of this Championship semi-final first leg. And Liam Cooper has just come over towards the near touchline, where he's picked up something from the nutritionist. I think he's taken on one of those energy gels, as the ball's cleared upfield by Derby County. On the halfway line, just left of centre, is Dwayne Holmes. He has in turn given it to Harry Wilson, who's been kneed in the back rather agriculturally by the Northern Irishman Stuart Dallas.
Yeah, they're quite painful then when you get a knee in the back and it just sort of sends you tumbling to the ground, and Yeah, he's holding his side, isn't he, Barry Wilson? He won't want to have got one into the ribs as well, because they can be painful.
I do think it's almost sort of a little bit amusing that Craig Pawson, who plies his trade majority of the time in the Premier League, would definitely have booked someone for that in the Premier League, didn't book Stuart Dallas for it in the Championship.
Yeah, they're tough cookies in the Championship, you know what I mean? They don't get mollycoddled like these Premier League players do.
Well, Harry Wilson's certainly not getting mollycoddled, because he's just been kicked by Kemar Roof on the halfway line. The ball's gone out of play, no free kick has been given, and Leeds United have it back again. We played 5 minutes of the second half on Talksport, and Derby and Leeds, their issues between the two of them go back very many years. It's not just a recent thing that these two have had a spot of bother. And those of you with longer memories who can remember the good old days of the 70s will remember Derby County being under the management of Brian Clough and Don Revie being in the Leeds dugout, and the two of them going on the old it was a local sports programme,
Yorkshire TV. Yeah,
giving each other hell for leather.
I think Brian Clough went for an interview, and then he didn't realise that Don Revie was there as well after he replaced him.
Ball on the right hand side, picked up by Pablo Hernandez towards the edge of the penalty area. If you haven't seen it, you can YouTube it. It's a very interesting exchange.
Yeah, it obviously made a film off the back of it called Damned United.
Yeah,
because I took the whole of the Leeds squad to go and watch when we were staying down in London for 4 days. We all walked in our tracksuits, and everybody looked at us in amazement as if, what are you lot doing here watching this?
Here is Nugent back to Mason Mount, who's deep inside his own half now, and then he turns and clips the ball out towards this near side. It's chested down and brought forward by Keogh. Keogh is tripped by Kemar Roof on the halfway line. He doesn't get a yellow card either. Maybe Craig Pawson's forgotten to bring his card with him today, and Jody Morris and Chris Jones and Frank Lampard are coming out towards the edge of the technical area and asking the question not only of Craig Pawson but also the fourth official David Coote, and saying, well, how is that not a yellow card?
Well, we were talking in commentary in the first 5-10 minutes. Yes, be careful, don't give out too many yellow cards too early, let the game flow and see how it takes it. But running to the second half here, that's definitely a yellow card for Roof.
Lawrence gets the ball played down the right side, clips his heels and comes back in field to try and take on Ayling. Ayling then pushes him to the floor. Free kick has been given wide on the touchline, and Derby County have got an opportunity to get the ball into the box. And from this sort of range, there's no better of getting it in the box than Harry Wilson.
Yeah, it's going to be an opportunity for Wilson to, with his left foot, to swing in amongst the Leeds back four. As mentioned before, Derby have got quite a decent height advantage of Bradley Johnson, Tamori, Keogh, Nugent. All be looking on to get onto this. Hopefully it's not just a drifted ball in. It's got to begin with pace and get the movement off the back of it.
Johnson in there, Lawrence in there, Nugent trying to jostle for position. Tamori's come up from the back, so is Keogh. It's whipped in towards Keogh, but headed away by Roof because it doesn't meet the first man. And then it comes back to Wilson, who clips it back into the air, and Tamori will try and head that on. He does, into the path of Mount in the left wing position, cuts in past Shackleton, and then tries to come back in field again. He's holding on to it well, waiting for an opportunity to get a ball into the box. Not the best delivery, cleared away by Ayling, back by Malone to the edge of the area, and Calvin Phillips was the most alert and managed to shepherd it clear. Dwayne Holmes stopping any sort of break from Leeds, not once but twice, with a brilliant slide tackle. And he nudges the ball out of play, and that gets everybody in Pride Park who's of a Derby persuasion to their feet, including Frank Lampard, who turns round to the crowd and says, come on, it's time to turn the volume up in here.
Well, it certainly worked. People talk about getting the crowd on the feet with a goal, but that tackle there from Dwayne Holmes, which was a good legal tackle, he won the ball, really lifted everybody off the seats, and that's not a clever tackle, look.
That's Tom Lawrence who did that as the ball goes in towards the far post, and he's Kemar Roof to pick up the pieces after the cross from the left, and he's pushed it past the goalkeeper Keller Rose and into the back of the net, and Leeds United have stuck themselves in front while everybody else was worrying about what was happening with Tom Lawrence in the middle of the park. Leeds continued to play. Harrison picked it up on the left hand side, swung a delightful early ball towards the far post, and there was Kemar Roof to score against Derby again. He hasn't scored since January, but this one's worth the wait. It's Derby 0, Leeds 1.
Well, first credit Craig Pawson. It was a tackle there from Tom Lawrence who allowed, it would have been a free kick normally, a played advantage, go down the left hand side, and it's a great ball into the path of Kemar Roof, who slotted her way first time past Kelly Roos in the Derby County goal. What a ball this was. I think it's Jack Harrison into Kemar Roof, who's showed the quality that he's got for the number of goals that he's got this season, and away to the right hand side to celebrate. What a fantastic goal from Leeds' perspective.
Now there seems to be a little bit of an issue behind the goal away to our left, some crowd disturbances. I don't know whether some Leeds fans have sort of permeated the Derby ends, but here come Leeds again anyway, down the right-hand side, and it's still kicking off down there behind the goal. Some Leeds fans, I think, have been shepherded out. There was certainly some more than just words being spoken. There's proper argy-bargy going on, and that's been sorted out now. We continue over on the far side. But anyway, Kemar Roof has scored the goal, which has put Leeds United in front. And when they've been struggling in front of goal without Patrick Bamford, they've had to rely on him, and he's got it again, edge of the D, shooting right-footed towards the far corner, saved by Keller Roos and pushed out towards the far side. It's picked up by Pablo Hernandez. The ball's gone out of play and away for a corner, but Leeds United threatening to put the foot on the accelerator here.
Derby have got to regroup here. They've got to make sure that they get the bodies back in around it. The game's too open. Leeds get the goal, and then next thing you know, Kemar Roof's one-on-one to the right-hand side, looking to bend it into the far corner. Great save and out for a corner.
There's another issue over on the far side, the right, inside the stadium as the corner comes in. A bit more of a disturbance with Derby supporters pointing and pushing, and there's supporters that are being ejected over on the right side in the corner. It's in the Derby end. The Leeds area is opposite us in the far corner away to our right, and there seems to be sporadic incidences of Leeds United support being spotted in the Derby end, and as a result of that, I think when the goal went in, there might have been incidents of cheering or something that had alerted those Leeds fans to the Derby support, and it's flared up as a result. And certainly now the stewards have moved in to try and calm the situation. There's a few boxes in that area as well, which have sort of may well have been hired by Leeds United supporters or be sort of populated half and half, as often on these occasions they are. But there's certainly some major disruption over in that far corner. There is a bloke who is screaming at a geezer in a suit and tie in the front row of those executive boxes. And he's not at all happy with what's going on over in that far corner. It remains 1-0 to Leeds United away from home at Pride Park in the Championship playoff first leg. And Leeds have struck first. And it's a massive goal as well, because away from home to get in front with the raucous atmosphere of Ellen Road to come, that's a major benefit. But Derby aren't finished yet, and Mount has spreaded the ball down the right side for Bogle to chase. Cooper's edged him off the ball. It's gone out of play and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, I think Derby have just got to get the focus back on the game now. Make sure that they regroup, they get to be compact again. Don't allow this game to slip away from them. Make sure that they do everything not to allow Leeds to get this second goal, because Roof nearly opened it up again with the second opportunity. They've got to get a foothold back into the game and make sure that they don't make sure it slips away. Leeds are looking for the second goal beyond the front foot. Ask questions. The supporters need to get behind them, but they've also got to play with the head as well as the heart.
Salford City have been promoted to the EFL for the first time. Congratulations to them. Later on, Sunderland take on Portsmouth live on Talksport 2. Tomorrow, more playoffs on Talksport 2 from midday, and then we've got the climax of the Premier League season here on Talksport, and there's action all through the week as well from the EFL playoffs. The only place you can hear all of them is right here on Talksport. And next Saturday, the FA Cup final is live on Talksport. And it's not long before we get into the Women's World Cup. We've got a couple of warm-up games to do before then as well. And then there's a small matter of a couple of European excursions, which I'm sure would be widely covered on the home of live sport, Talksport. And Jody Morris, who looks quite grumpy actually, has got his hands rammed into his pockets down in front of us, and has just decided to call back Jack Marriott. I think Marriott will get an opportunity here, Simon.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be surprised if he doesn't come on for Nugent. What Marriott does, he can run on the back of the shoulder of Cooper and Berardi. Came here for a lot of money in the summer from Peterborough, scored plenty of goals at that level and done quite well this season. He's
10 goals.
10 goals, which isn't a bad return for your first year in the Championship. Gives Leeds a different option to deal with if he does come on.
Just sort of petered out for him, didn't it? Because he scored 9 goals in his first 15 starts for Derby, and then for whatever reason they changed tactics. Waghorn became more of a sort of prevalent in the side, and it just sort of slowed down for him. Here's Nugent, who's playing up front at the moment, but not for much longer, I wouldn't have thought. The ball is on the wide left position with Lawrence. They've gone backwards rather than forwards. Remember, this is a Derby team that lost one of their last 12 league matches coming into today's fixture. Keogh, Tamori, Derby behind by a goal to nil. Kemar Roof, who hasn't scored since January, but has now got 15 goals for the season, is on the score sheet again against Derby County. Ball down the right hand side, and Bogle is knocked to the floor by Harrison. Free kick, and Mount wants to take it quickly. Dwayne Holmes has made a quick dart towards the edge of the area, but the referee is going to make them wait. Mount's just halted. They'll reset here, and now after a brief blurt, Mount will re-spot the ball and then try to curl it in towards the near post. It's aimed up high, and out comes goalkeeper Kiko Garcia, grabs it from the sky, pulls it into his chest, and will clear it away. You're listening to Talksport. Derby County 0, Leeds United 1. With McDonald's Fun Football providing over 5 million hours of fun grassroots football to the UK by 2022.
I think you've just seen there, Leeds are happy with that. They've got Casilla coming for a floated ball into the box, and when the opposition are trying to get back into the game, it's nice to see as a defender your goalkeeper come and relieve the pressure and just take the sting out of the game a little bit.
Cooper plays the ball into midfield, flicked on by Hernandez, who sparkle has sort of faded in the last couple of weeks. He didn't find a teammate with his pass there on halfway, and it comes back to Bradley Johnson for Derby County. He takes on 2 players, moves down the right, gets to the edge of the area, got some support from Nugent. He's maybe held onto it for a bit too long, but now he's found Wilson, who's clipped the ball to the far side, chested down by Mount. A little flick, tries to take on the defender. Shackleton was in there, and he went down Mason Mount, but the ball was won, and it's cleared away. Dwayne Holmes gets in front of Click, but then loses out, and Shackleton is breaking free. Down the right they come. Shackleton is powering on now into the area, tucks it back to Hernandez. He's miskicked it. What a great chance that was for 2-0 Leeds.
Well, great play from Shackleton down the right hand side, showed his energy and his pace. He knocked it right. In fact, he had the composure to break into the box, and the one person that you want it to drop to on the roundabout the penalty spot is Pablo Hernandez, and completely miscues his shot, gets nothing on the ball, and just does a blatant dummy where really you're expecting to hit the target.
Well, there was a booking there. I think it was for Calvin Phillips, but we'll try and confirm that for you. The referee getting his cards out eventually. Here is the change that we expected it to be. Jack Marriott coming on, and he has replaced David Nugent. Nugent, 34 years of age, goes off, and Marriott, who, as Simon has already articulated, signed from Peterborough in the summer and was a bit of a goal machine there, has come on to try and claw Derby back into this tie. You're listening to Talksport. 18 minutes played of the second half, and again Derby taking their time to come out with the ball, and that just draws a little bit of ire of the Derby support. It's picked up by Bogle on this near side, tries to nudge it back into Keogh, comes off Click and goes out for a throw. Midway inside the Leeds United half, Cooper and Marriott grappling with one another, and Wilson comes away with the ball, runs to the edge of the box. Marriott's made some space, he's dragged to the floor there, Wilson by Cooper, and that yellow card's getting some action now.
Yeah, that definitely yellow card. Harry Wilson really positive, driving inside from this right hand wing, committed Cooper to the free kick and to the tackle, made the free kick. Yellow card for Liam Cooper, in a real dangerous position now for Leeds, who've got Mount, Wilson over the ball, looking to bend this into the top corner if possible.
It was Berardi who went into the book earlier on for the challenge, not Phillips, and that means that both central defenders have now been booked for Leeds. And a free kick in Harry Wilson territory. He was the man brought down by Cooper. He is the man who has scored a spectacular free kick at Old Trafford in the past. He's banged them in from this sort of range. Mason Mount standing over it as well. The two of them in close confidence, just discussing what the best way it is to approach this set piece. Kiko Casilla, who had a fumble last week against Ipswich Town, will have to be on his mettle here. It needs a good delivery.
Big build-up, Sam.
If ever they needed to strike hot, then this was the moment. Wilson and Mount stand over it. There is a six-man navy blue wall 10 yards back from the edge of the area. It's Wilson to strike it, and it hits Calvin Phillips, who was behind that wall, and bounces out to the far side. Malone retrieves it, bounces down the left, tries to produce a cross. Ayling is there. The ball spirals into the air. It's loose inside the box, and it's away by Calvin Phillips and recovered by Holmes. And just for a brief moment, Derby have got Leeds pinned inside their own area, but this is how to relieve the pressure. Great goalkeeping from Kiko Casilla, who doesn't mind sprinting off his line and coming to claim when many others wouldn't. He's come jaunting out to the edge of his area and just plucked that from the sky.
Yeah, again, relieved the pressure really well. I've seen him doing it a couple of times this season where he's ran out and didn't need to, and got caught in a couple of positions. I think one was against Sheffield United where he brought Billy Sharp down and got sent off. But it's at this stage it's great play because he's relieved the pressure.
Keogh has got a yellow card for bringing down Kemar Roof about 20 yards back from the edge of the penalty area. There was a collision between the two. Leeds tried to fashion an attack. Let me go to the Stadium of Light. 28,000 expected there today for the playoff semi-finals in League One. Graham Courtney's got the team news.
Yep, and I can tell you the Sunderland line-up like this. It is John McLaughlin in goal to back four of 09. Flanagan, Ozturk and Oviedo. Two sitting in front of them, that's Power and Catamol. Three across the middle, Morgan, Honeyman and McGeady with Charlie Wyke up front. What about Pompey? Well, it's McGilvray in goal, back four of Walks, Burgess, Clark and Thompson. Tom Naylor and Ben Close sitting in front of them, and then three across the middle, Lowe, Curtis and Evans, Ollie Hawkins up front. 7:30 kick-off here, Sam. It's Sunderland Pompey at the Stadium of Light.
And it's live on Talksport 2. Alex Crook and Neil Rippon, your commentary team tonight from 7:30 on Talksport 2. And I think me and producer Deck will be listening to that in the car on the way home with a keen interest.
I would have thought that crowd will go into over 30,000 to be fair, because Portsmouth will take a good allocation. Sunderland fans will be out as well, and two massive clubs as well looking to get back into the Championship.
The old Portsmouth WhatsApp group was flying around with problems of disruption on the northbound A1 earlier on today, with a half marathon going on, blocking a road.
All right.
So I don't know how many of the lads got up there, but yep, looks like it was.
Well, I think both Portsmouth and Sunderland, just going talking about that game, that they'd be both disappointed that they didn't finish at least third, one of them, because on the last day of the season Charlton finished third and on paper have got an easier tie against Doncaster, but football's not played on Charlton, is it?
Charlton scored 4 goals in their game and Portsmouth let themselves down, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
It's 1-0 to Leeds here in the Championship playoff second semi-final, first leg. 68 minutes gone, and the free kick to Leeds just in front of the centre circle, taken by Calvin Phillips deep towards the far post, and that was a dive by Liam Cooper, who's already been booked inside the area. And Craig Pawson is now being spoken to by Richard Keogh, who's suggesting, hold on a second.
Yeah, look, that could have quite easily been a second yellow card and leading to the red card. It's a bit strange for Liam Cooper to do something like that when he's already booked. He was going to get nowhere near the ball. It looks like Mason Bennett's probably going to come on for Derby. Not quite sure where he'll go and play. Will he go 4-4-2 or will he go and play in one of the wider positions?
I think Frank Lampard believes it's important for them to get a goal here. 21 minutes to go. You're listening to Talk Sport, and it's Derby 0, Leeds 1, and Derby trying to get themselves back into this game. Bogle sends the ball in. The referee stopped the momentum there and told them to go back because they want to take the American Dwayne Holmes off. And he's being replaced by Mason Bennett, and they are going to have a bit of a shift around here because Mason Bennett is a striker. Holmes plays in the centre of midfield. It may well mean that Lawrence has to play a little bit deeper or goes out to the left-hand side.
I think Mason Bennett will come onto the right-hand side. It looks like Wilson's going to go inside one along Mason Mount, and Lawrence stays on the left-hand side.
And they'll just play one holding midfield player.
Yeah,
instead.
they'll have Bradley Johnson just protecting them in front with Marriott up front, looking for Wilson and Mount to join in quickly. But Mason Bennett with his power and pace and strength to try and ask questions of Stuart Dallas, who's a makeshift left back.
Here is Wilson trying to turn away from Phillips, goes past Phillips, and Phillips trips him, and it's another free kick, and they want a yellow card here. The referee again is declining to give one, and Wilson gets back to his feet and is preparing to take the free kick. I think what he really wants is some gel.
He's stretching his calves. Magic gel coming out.
Quick, let me take that on board. Give me some energy for the end of the game. We've got 20 minutes to go. Mount and Wilson standing over it, but Wilson's just getting re-energised, and Mount is going to be able to deliver this. And Fikayo Tomori, Mason Bennett, Bradley Johnson, Jack Marriott, all jostling for position inside the penalty area as Mason Mount prepares to take it, right-footed. It's an arcing ball towards the centre. Bennett went up with a header, but Phillips won it well and managed to clear it, and then Kemar Roof manages to smack it even further forward, and it's collected on the edge of the area by Keller-Roos, but it was a bit of a wild clearance by him. Malone has picked it up, and that's a good take by Marriott. Well done to him to bring that ball down. Sends it right. Wilson on the attack now for Derby. Pokes it forward. Mason Mount shifts it left. It's on to Malone. Low cross into the centre, and it's missed inside the 6-yard box by Jayden Bogle. Coming inside the 6-yard box on the blind side of the defender, and as it was thrashed through that corridor of uncertainty, he didn't manage to get on the end of it and tuck it home. It just needed the merest of touches.
Yeah, great play from Derby. Mason Mount feeds it out to Scott Malone, who's an attacking left back, who puts it into a real dangerous area where anybody could have got a contact onto it, but unfortunately from Derby's perspective, nobody did it. He just went out for a throw-in on our near side, but it's been better from Derby the last few minutes. At least they're trying to offer more when they're going forward. The youthful exuberance of Wilson and Mount and showing a little bit more of influence on the game, and Leeds have got to be careful of this.
The ball thrown down that right-hand side by Derby, who are trying to maintain the pressure. How many staff have Marcelo Bielsa got inside that technical area? You're not allowed that many.
You're only allowed 2 stood up at one particular time. I think they're like a tag team. One goes back out, the other one comes out. Yeah, he has got a number of staff because he needs it with all the analysation that he does of the opposition.
Dallas throws the ball down the left-hand side. It's cleared away by Derby, and it's picked up on the right side by Bogle. The ball's gone out and flown away for a throw-in again, and it will be back with Derby deep inside their own territory. David Coote is trying desperately to keep tabs on all that staff, but Leeds have got milling around that technical area down in front of us here at the home of Derby County, Pride Park. 1-0 to Leeds. Goal scored by Kemar Roof on 55 minutes. The goal converted after what was a delightful left-footed cross by Jack Harrison. Player spin stops, and it's back with Derby inside their own half.
I think just picking up on point what you said before, Sam, that Frank Lampard been looking for a goal. Yes, he will, but the biggest thing for me is that he's got to make sure they don't concede the next goal, because if they're going to Ellen Road 2-0 down, that's going to be a real tough task for them.
Yeah. And 31,723 are here to see it as Tomori weaves his way out of defence under pressure from Hernandez and Click. He goes out to the left, the ball comes back in field to Lawrence. So that thing about attendances in English football reaching a 60-year high this season. Almost 18.4 million people attended matches in the Championship League 1 and League 2. Here is Mount crossing the ball in towards the near post. It's easily caught by Kiko Yasila, who sits and waits and tries to waste a bit of time. Let's go to the European Rugby Champions Cup final at St James's Park for Talksport. Ross Hargreaves is there.
What a fight back from Saracens, Sam, who lead Leinster by 20 points to 10, having been 10-0 down. Leinster with their Aussie back rower Scott Fardy in the bin, and Sarries took full advantage. Billy Vunipolas try, putting a controversial few weeks off the field behind him. Conversion and penalty from Owen Farrell, and it looks as if Sarries are going to make it 3 European titles in 4 years. They lead 20-10.
And deny Leinster the opportunity to win a 5th European Champions Cup. And these two desperate to try and get into the Premier League, where they have been absent for well over a decade, both of them. 11 years Derby, 15 years Leeds United. Stuart Dallas clattered into by Bradley Johnson as he takes a throw and then hoists the ball forward. Derby trying to come back down the right hand side, but they can't find Johnson. Dallas into Phillips, and Phillips tries to steer it up towards the halfway line. Goes out of play and it's away for a Derby throw. 1-0 to Leeds United on Talksport. And Frank Lampard looking increasingly tense, and worry lines etched on his forehead down in front of us as he frowns and looks on and just gets rather jittery.
There'll be a few more of them and grey hairs over if it's to be a manager for another 10, 15, 20 years, that's for sure.
You notice that, don't you? Players who go into management, full heads of hair and with no grey in sight.
What are you trying to say then, Sam? I've got no grey hairs, that's for sure.
The ball has been sent long by Kelleroos. There's a challenge by Marriott, which the referee doesn't like, as he fights for the ball over on the far side. And then a free kick is given in the right full-back position. And with 14 minutes to go before the end of the first leg of this championship semi-final, Leeds United lead and are quite happy to waste as many seconds as possible to ensure that they go back to Ellen Road with a victory. And there's no doubt that Marcelo Bielsa would have been putting the hours in on that bucket, forging a plan to get the better of Derby this week. Ball is sent long by the goalkeeper. It's picked up by Mason Mount though for Derby, who quickly wants to get things moving once again. He plays it left to Lawrence, gets it back. Mount comes in field. Lawrence has picked it up again. There's space going forward on the edge of the penalty area for Wilson. He chops it on towards Bogle, who's gone down inside the penalty area, and Craig Pawson has waited and pointed to the spot, and Derby have a chance to get themselves back into the game. A challenge inside the area on Jayden Bogan has left him in a crumpled heap. There didn't look to be too much contact, but enough according to Craig Pawson to give a penalty kick. The linesman on this near side is now being spoken to by Craig Pawson, and Richard Keogh is being wrestled by Stuart Dallas, and Cooper Casilla has come out towards this near side. They are appealing the decision and trying to get the assistant to change his mind. How did you see it, Simon?
Well, it was good play from Derby in the first place. Then he gets to the wrong side of the Leeds defender, and then it'd be interesting. Oh, he's given no penalty.
Oh, he's changed his mind. This could be a major moment in the championship semi-final. The decision to give a penalty for Derby County has been overturned after consultation with the linesman. Craig Pawson has switched it around and given a free kick in favour of Leeds United. Jody Morris can't believe it. Lampard's gone over towards the near post. I think he was trying to have a look at that. We're trying to see a replay of it ourselves. We don't have monitors here at Pride Park. Stuart Dallas, I think, was the player who was involved, and Dallas is appealing that he didn't touch him. Let's just try and see if we can get a replay on that. But this is a major moment in the two-legged semi-final.
Without shadow of doubt, he's taking advice from his assistant referee on this near side, and then been advised to overturn his decision. It'd be interesting. We've still not seen a replay yet, but it looked like Bogle had got the other side of I think it was Jack Harrison, and whatever's gone off after that, whether it's a dive, but I don't think it's booked Bogle, has it? Because we're not seeing any yellow cards going around. It'd be interesting when we can see it again.
Well, 78 minutes into the championship semi-final between Derby and Leeds. More controversy. Ball picked up on the edge of the area, sent wide towards Mason Bennett. He tries to steer it into the box. It's half cleared by Dallas, comes out towards this near side and goes out for a throw-in. Well, we've seen the replay. Harrison seems to come across the defender. Harrison seems to come infield, and Bogle comes across the defender, and actually on second review it doesn't look like there was much contact.
No, I think it's a good decision in the end, really. He's got the other side of him, and there's not been too much contact, whether he's just fallen off balance or not. But Derby sort of then breaking into the box in this second instance there. But it's Derby are looking to really get back into this game now. But fair play to the referee. He's made that call, gone across for his assistant and get a little bit of advice. Obviously to the disgust of the Derby faithful, but to the delight of the Leeds faithful.
Well, Bogle seemed to just get his left foot and push it in front of Harrison and then go down. And the referee was quick to give the penalty kick, but the linesman on this near side has corrected the decision, and it seems that was the right one. I wonder whether or not Frank Lampard has seen it in the technical area, because he's not causing too much of a fuss. Change for Leeds United. And off comes the goal scorer, Kemar Roof, and on comes Jack Clark, the 20-year-old who... the 18-year-old, who actually was slated to play on the right-hand side at one point today. If Ashley Cole had have been fit, I think they would have tried to match him up against him. Here is Harrison back to the edge of the area. Shackleton with an effort comes back to Harrison into the side netting after it's pushed away by Keller-Roos.
Offside. Dangerous there though. Leeds have got to make, try to punish him down the right hand side. You're talking there about Jack Clark coming on. He's got electric pace, will look to be positive and try and get at Bogle. Looks like Harrison has gone down the middle. Hernandez still on the right hand side, but Derby have certainly got to be aware of the pace and the threat of Leeds on the counter attack.
Incredibly fast Jack Clark, and still very, very young, as many of these Leeds players that are coming off the bench are.
Well, he had a horrible moment about 2 months ago when he was at Middlesbrough, came off at half-time and then collapsed in the dressing room and ended up going to hospital, and it was a worrying moment for a lot of people concerned at that particular time, but he came out well. Big scare,
but he's recovered from that. Leeds have recovered from a few big scares over the course of the season. Are they going to take a first leg lead in this semi-final of the Championship? Well, listen, it was a massive moment, that penalty shout, wasn't it? It really was, but ultimately you've got to say Craig Pawson made the right decision by consulting with his linesman and getting the decision correct.
Without a shadow of doubt, full credit to the assistant. He was brave enough. We actually saw him using his right hand to get the flag up this time, where we criticised him in the first half.
Here's Bogle down the right hand side, who was involved in that incident with Jack Harrison. The ball breaks towards the halfway line. The challenge by Clark on Clark is given in Leeds' favour, and it's now a free kick 2 yards short of the halfway line. It remains 1-0 to Leeds United, 8 minutes to go, and that, I think, has just taken the wind out of the sails of Derby County, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. They were the dominant team at that particular time when they got the penalty, and obviously if they've got the penalty they'd have gone searching for this second goal, but as it stands, Leeds have had a better opportunity just after the penalty that wasn't.
Talksport supports the work of Prostate Cancer UK. Remember, in the time it takes to play a game of football, 2 men in the UK will die of prostate cancer. To find out more and how you can help, visit prostatecancer.org/football for more details. Full times in the Champions Cup final. Last we heard, Saracens were on their way to victory. Have they done it, Ross Hargreaves?
They have. Saracens 20 Leinster 10, a third European Champions Cup title in 4 years for Sarries, denying Leinster that fifth, and another Gallagher Premiership Euro double could be on the cards come June the 1st for the team from North London. Tries in the first half from Sean Maitland and the second from Billy Vunipola, and the boot of Owen Farrell enough. They were 10-0 down at one point and have come back to one, 20-10.
Hernandez heads the ball on for Leeds into the area. Offside flag is up. Ailing had the ball on the right edge of the area, and Marcelo Bielsa is going absolutely balmy inside the technical area down in front of us, because he thinks that they should have made much more of that opportunity when they got to the edge of the box there, Leeds.
Yeah, I think in a roundabout way, Adam Forshaw going off has helped Leeds, because young Shackleton has come on. He's got so much pace and energy, and he's been a real constant threat to Derby's midfield, and back forward he's breaking forward. So in a roundabout way, it's probably helped Leeds.
He was the one who broke forward, got to the edge of the penalty area, left it for Ailing. Ailing then just sort of dawdled a little bit on the edge of the area. His cross in the end, by the time it got to Hernandez, and the offside flag had gone up.
He also broke forward when he pulled it back to to Pablo Hernandez, who totally miscued about 10-15 minutes ago. So he's been really impressive, and that's what you want from your subs. No matter when they come on at any particular time, make sure they go and have an impact on the game, and he certainly has.
And once again, Simon, Leeds have had more chances to get themselves further in front in this game, but it is only 1-0. And for much of the match, they have been the better team, I think, Leeds United. But Derby County, Chris Jones, Jody Morris and Frank Lampard will all be sitting there thinking, well, it is only 1-0 going into the second
Well,
leg.
it has been a big criticism of Leeds this year that they've created loads and loads of chances and they're not really punished teams. They're not been ruthless enough in front of goal. And that could be said about them today. We talked about Hernandez and a couple of other Roof, a couple of chances that really, if you look at the actual clear chances, Leeds could have been 2 or 3-0 up in this game. Derby have really threatened Casilla in his goal.
6 to go. Derby 0, Leeds 1 on Talksport. Here on the right side is Click. Out wide to Hernandez, who takes a couple of steps forward. Fires it in towards Harrison. Harrison gets it back to Phillips, and then it goes to the left, and Stuart Dallas. Dallas coming in field. It's picked up by Harrison. Dallas again. Dallas just waits and plays it into the feet of Clark. Clark takes a run from left side into the centre, and then midway inside the Derby half, Hernandez turns it round the corner looking to get Ayling in behind the defence. He's done that low cross towards the far post. Clark coming in, but it missed him, just too far in front of him, and it's turned away by Bogle and out towards the near side. They want more control in midfield, Derby, for the last few minutes, and Tom Huddleston is coming on as a result of that. He's going to replace Tom Lawrence.
Again, we've just seen Bielsa, his frustration of his team, the great play, ball in between the centre-back and left-back of Derby. Ayling makes the forward run, fires it across, and there's nobody in a navy blue shirt to get on the end of it, and you can see that Frank's concerned. He doesn't need to be going to Ellen Road, a couple of goals down, so he's got Huddleston, bags of experience to go in there and play alongside Bradley Johnson and go to a 4-2-3-1 and try and not concede at the very least. If they can get a goal, then brilliant. If not, you're giving yourself an opportunity still to be in the tie.
Johnson wins it back for Derby. Is there going to be another chance before the end of the game? One clear-cut chance for Derby. They haven't had too many in the football match, that is for sure. Before the end of the match, not if they give the ball away like that. And Scott Malone has just given it to Hernandez, who's sent Click away towards the edge of the area, onto his right foot, trying to twist and turn and find a shooting position. He still managed to get it, despite the fact there's 4 defenders around him. And eventually, after squeezing past the last one, he's then lashed out at Tamori, and the referee has got some sorting out to do. It all happened behind his back. I don't think that Ian Hussey, the assistant on the far side, was watching either. As a result of that, I don't think there's going to be too much action here. But Craig Pawson is being bellowed at by Fikayo Tamori, who is accusing Click.
Well,
and Click's got a yellow card.
Well, if it's as serious as the Derby players are saying, they look like they're after a red card.
Yeah, they are.
Now that he's booked in for a yellow card, then he's not going to be able to get any respective action against him. If he'd stayed clear and not got any card, then certainly the FA would have looked at it and
was
maybe
he suggesting a headbutt?
That's what it looks like. Tamori was very animated with his actions towards the referee and the assistant on the far side. I think we just followed, played, and we're not really seeing too much of it, really.
Well, they're coming together between the two, but we didn't see at close quarters whether or not Click did lean his head into Fikayo Tamori. And that's certainly what the accusation was by the on-loan Chelsea man. Here's Mount, up to Bogle, edge of the area, tries to go beyond 2 or 3 defenders, but it was always a hard task, and it's come back to the halfway line. Richard Keogh being pursued by Harrison. He's lost control of the ball, he's fallen over, and Click has turned it towards the left-hand side, and Tamori's had to come across again and tidy up to help out Keogh, and the ball's out of play on this near side. So, was there much in there?
He's put his head towards his chest, hasn't it, by the looks of it on the screen. Whether just watching it again now from what he gets up.
And then he does Zidane against Marco Materazzi, doesn't he, into the chest of the defender. Tom Huddleston's been on the pitch for about 3 minutes, and he's managed to earn himself a yellow card for a challenge on Stuart Dallas, and he's another one who's going into the referee's notebook. But it has got quite fractious, it has become quite contentious between these two. Look, let's be honest about it, with the history between them, did we expect any different?
No, the previous history of many years ago, but ultimately what's happened this season, accusations left, right and centre, put the magnitude of a semi-final for the playoffs, for the Premier League. You've got to have the passion, but you've got to make sure you don't overstep the mark, and Klitsch can find himself a little bit fortunate that he's not that the referee's only given him a yellow card.
More spicy derby action to come on Talksport later on this evening. It's this evening, isn't it? It feels like afternoon with this bright sunshine above our head. We've got Sunderland and Portsmouth clashing on Talksport 2 at 7:30 tonight. Tune in for that. It will be, I promise you, a belter. Derby 0, Leeds 1 on Talksport with McDonald's Fun Football, providing over 5 million hours of fun grassroots football to the UK by 2022. Derby trying desperately to get beyond the last line of Leeds defence. I've got to be honest with you, they haven't managed to penetrate them at all today, and Leeds have actually defended really well.
They have, whether lack of quality in the final third or not, or good defending. Casilla in the Leeds goal has not had a save to make, where at the other end of the pitch Leeds have been a threat, and in a different game, a bit more ruthlessness about them, it could have been over.
They may be disappointed that it isn't over. Here is Mason Mount dancing his way into the left corner of the pitch. It goes out over on the far side and away for a throw-in, which will be taken by Malone. 5 minutes of added time at the end of the game. Still a lot can happen in that time. We've seen that this week already. Ball thrown in over on the far corner by Malone into Bradley Johnson, who hoists it forward. Not the greatest ball, but comes back to Malone, left side, trying to take on Pablo Hernandez. He's got beyond him, but then run into Ayling, and then the ball is taken wide by the Leeds defence, and they clear it upfield. And this is dangerous because the ball has been nudged forward by Shackleton into Harrison. Harrison running forward. It's 3-on-3 here, and Leeds United cutting Derby open, but they've managed to get players back. Keogh's got there, so has Jack Marriott, and eventually it slows, and then it's picked up by Dallas, who's overcooked it, and it goes out and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. These are the moments where you need the poise. These are the moments where you need calm heads. If Derby are going to get back into this game, then they need to make sure that they make anything that comes their way now, Simon.
Yeah, definitely. They've definitely great team spirit there from the Derby players. Looked like Leeds were going to get outnumbered on the counter-attack, but the desire to get back and see out the danger. What they're going to make sure is that they're still looking for this equaliser, but don't give...
Well, Huddleston's gone down, and I think Derby will be pretty pleased that free kick has been given against Leeds United, because they were threatening to attack once again. 4 playoff campaigns have ended in failure for Leeds. Will it be different this time? They are going to beat Derby for a third time this season, unless Derby can find a goal in the final few seconds here. And with that second leg at a raucous Ellen Road, they will be massive favourites now to make it to Wembley.
Well, there will be, but there's still plenty to play for. Derby are still going to regroup. They're good keeping this tie now. Go to Ellen Road, make sure they don't concede early on, but it is going to be one hell of an atmosphere at Ellen Road on Wednesday night, which I'm really looking forward to.
And Wilson down the right it goes, and then off. He tried to poke it forward into the right wing position, and a foul goes against Derby once again, and the minutes tick away, the seconds tick away, and maybe Derby's hopes of getting back into this game have fallen away as well. 15 years they have been out of the Premier League leads. Their fans will know not to get carried away just yet.
Well, speaking to a lot of friends who are Leeds fans over the last few weeks or so, days, they've all been so pessimistic that they're not even going to win tonight. They're not going to do this, they're not going to do that, but who knows, this magical game of football, anything can happen, and we're going to see probably Leeds win this first semi-final, but there's still plenty to play for on Wednesday night, as there is on Tuesday.
Ball hoiked forward, up over the top of the Leeds defence. Casilla comes out and volleys it towards the halfway line. It was Mount's ball forward the first time. Now he's going to shoot from the halfway line. He didn't catch it right, but he knew where Casilla was, and he was not back on his line. If he'd caught that properly, there would have been trouble for the Leeds goalkeeper.
Yeah, definitely. He saw him off his line and just didn't connect properly with it, and it dribbled right the way through to Casilla and just going to roll it out to Luke Ayling. But if he'd managed to get a good connection on him, I'm sure he'd have been running back a little bit quicker than he did towards his goal.
Yes, there would have been a scramble on. Here's Tamori deep inside his own half. Derby at the wrong end of the pitch as far as they're concerned. trailing by a goal to nil. Lampard is standing on the touchline, he's drawing them forward, trying to gesticulate for them all just to go up towards the edge of the area. Wilson's taken over. The delivery is a spun ball out to the far side. Malone into the centre. Mount goes up with a challenge. Bennett's gone down inside the area looking for a penalty. The referee has said no. Ayling's picked it up by the corner flag. He's attempted to clear, but it'll be retrieved here by Tom Huddleston, who turns, tosses it straight back into the box. It's headed into the air by Phillips. Not clear. Malone back into the central area. Shackleton stabs it wide. It's picked up by Click, and now Leeds can bring it clear. They bring it up towards the halfway line where it's flicked over towards the near side by Hernandez, but it's given away to Keogh, and Derby might have one last opportunity. No, Mount has stumbled and it's run through to Phillips and then sent down the right for Click. The pole in an advanced position for Leeds United, threads it on to Jack Harrison. He goes down under pressure from Keogh. Tamori tries to win it back. Harrison's still got it now. We played the 5 minutes at the end of the 90 here. The referee checks his watch. Craig Pawson just seeing the last few seconds out here as the ball spirals out for a throw-in. They've spent so much time in the top two over the course of the season, Leeds. They believe they should be a Premier League team. They have given themselves a big chance to get to Wembley. Ball out of play and away for a corner kick over on the far side. A few more precious seconds will be wasted by Marcelo Bielsa's team. He has plotted, he has planned, he has sometimes overstepped the mark, but today his team have come here and done a job on Derby. For the third time this season they're going to beat Frank Lampard's men. There is the full-time whistle, and it's victory for Leeds United at Pride Park. I spy with my little eye something beginning with H. Hope amongst the Leeds United contingent that this will be different. A crucial lead is taken by Marcelo Bielsa's team into the second leg in Yorkshire in 4 days' time, and Derby are going to have to stage a comeback. Not that Frank Lampard will have to look around too hard for inspiration, but it is advantage Leeds United. Derby 0, Leeds United 1. There will be a discussion about the penalty decision, which went for Derby and then very quickly went against them. But ultimately, the referee made the right call, and it's Leeds who go back with a slender advantage. Derby 0, Leeds 1.